Hello and welcome. I'm Jamila Payne, the blogger at Color Me Crafty. Today I'm going to be walking you through how to create a simple SVG design in Adobe Illustrator. And don't worry, if you don't have Adobe Illustrator, I'm also giving you the design as my freebie. The design is a simple text design. It has the word "your" and then overreacting, and then inside it's "I'm not." And it can be read as "you're overreacting, I'm not overreacting." But it's just a really fun and simple text-based design that I'm going to show you how to make, as well as steps in Design Space to get it to cut out with your Cricut Joy. All right, let's get to it. Real quick, let's go over everything we have here that we are going to use for this project. We have our Cricut Easy Press we're going to use to press it, our Easy Press mat, the Cricut Joy of course. We have a t-shirt, and I have a brayer. I always like to have a pair of scissors around when I am working with vinyls, my weeding tool, my Cricut Joy mat, and then I have my vinyl here. We're going to use these two colors for the design. And then it's a little stained, but I have those are glue stains. I have my self-healing mat, rotary tool, and ruler because, as we know, these are not going to fit into the Cricut Joy. So the first thing I'm going to do is cut this down to around 4.5 inches. And I'm just going to line the corners up. Let's do it this way. Gonna line the corners up, and then take this and make sure it's lined up on either side, and use my rotary tool and just cut it down. Now we have our vinyl pieces, and we can move this out of the way because we won't need that again. When I am creating an SVG, I always start with a 12 by 12 canvas or artboard. I'm showing you how to do a simple text-based SVG, so I'm going to start off by typing all of my words out. Once I have everything typed up and on my artboard, I'm going to do some resizing, and I also want to make this word all capital letters. So I'm going to go up to type and change case and then put it to uppercase. So let's size this down just a little bit, and I am going to change this to impact. Impact is probably my favorite font to use when I need a nice thick bold font. And I think I'm going to change this a little bit. We're going to make that 2 words, and then I'm going to size this up. Let's move these out of the way real quick, and then I'm going to size this up, and all I'm doing is hovering over the corner, holding down shift and dragging it up to make it bigger. The thing with impact is it doesn't come all the way to the edges, so you have to kind of eyeball it for your design. So I like this. I'm going to leave this here, and then now I want to find a font for this one, and I want like a cursive or scripty font, and Barley I think is a good one. Make this bigger, and ignore the fact that they're the same color and overlapping. We will change that in a second. I'm going to change this one to Barley as well, and I'm just laying everything out the way that I want to see it in the design. I'm going to change these colors so you can see them a little bit better. So what I want to do is create an offset so that you can see these words a little bit better. The first thing I want to do is take these, and I want to make sure that they are completely centered. And then I'm going to go up here to Object, Expand, and click OK. and then down here to Pathfinder. If you don't see it, you can go up to Windows and down to Pathfinder. But I am going to unite those, and what that does is it makes it a group of compound paths. But I want to make this a single path, so I'm going to Command 8 on my Mac, or you can go up to Object, Compound Path, and then Make. So that one is done, and we also have to expand all of these. And this is why the Unite step is important, because if you can see those lines where the O connects to the T, if you do not unite these, they will cut that way. So you'll click on Unite, and that takes those cut lines out, or those extra paths or whatever out. And I'm going to do the same thing and make a single path out of that, and then repeat the same step with the word your. I want to make sure that everything is where I want it. So I'm going to click on this top word, because we're going to do this one at a time. I could technically unite these or make these a single path, the two blue layers, but I don't want to, because I haven't decided if I want to make those two different colors or not. So with the text selected, I'm going to go to Object, Path, and Offset Path. And you'll want to pay attention to the size of your path, and I think this size looks good. If you want to change it, you can change it right up here. And once I'm happy with it, I'm going to click OK and do the same thing down here. Now we have our two offsets. I'm going to select the two offsets, and if it's easier, you can turn off those main layers. So I'm going to select the two offsets and make those a single path, and then select our words overreacting, and I want to minus front. So I'm going to click on that, and that takes just those cuts out, and that's the design. The design is done, except we have to go back up here, because when we slice, we made a bunch of cut lines, and we're going to make this a single path again. Now, the only thing left to do is to export this and bring it over to Cricut Design Space for us to cut out on the Cricut Joy or whatever machine you have. So let's go ahead and move over to Cricut Design Space. Now we're over in Design Space, and I've already uploaded the design to my canvas, and I'm going to go ahead and switch my machine to the Cricut Joy. And once we switch to the Joy, we see that we have an issue here. The image is too large, so we need to reduce it to about 4.5. Because this is going on an adult shirt, reducing the entire thing to 4.5 just doesn't work. And if you were going to do it that way, you would select everything and then reduce it to 4.5. But instead, what we're going to do is go over here and grab a shape, and we are going to slice these out. So I'm just going to make that shape cover the whole bottom design. And now once I have that shape in there, I'm going to select the shape, hold down Shift, and select the text that I want to split as well, and then click on Slice. Now we have our rectangle, which we can delete. We have an additional reacting layer, so we can delete that as well, but it's still telling us that over is too large. For my adult shirts, I usually go about 10.5 or 11. So what we can do here is we can go ahead and size this down, and you want to select the whole thing and size it down, and that gives us the size that we need. So now we can go ahead and click on Make It, and you can save or whatever. I am using a mat. So once you have everything sorted, you can go ahead and get to cutting. For some reason, this mat will not let me choose without a mat. This is under the size, so I don't know. I'm just going to keep going, but I'm going to use my mat for it. I'm going to go through all my layers and make sure mirrored is on, and I'm going to start with this one. click on continue. So over here, I'm gonna pick my material. I am using the glitter for this one, or I'm using a glitter for this one. So we're gonna try the Smart Iron-On glitter. I'm using Caesar glitter, so I'm gonna use a little bit more pressure for this. Load my mat in. And now that it's ready, I'm gonna click on go. It's done, so let's unload it. Perfect. Now for the next one, and we are doing the same material, so same settings for that. Putting it on shiny side down. I need to choose my material and allow that to cut. And while that's cutting, I'm gonna go ahead and weave this one out. And we're down to the last two pieces, so I'm gonna go ahead and heat up my easy press, and I'm gonna do 330 for 20 seconds. I'm using Caesar holographic iron-on for this one, and I'm gonna leave the settings on default as well as have it remember the settings for the next one I cut. I am going to take my shirt and create a crease down the center so that I can make sure to align my design correctly. I do not use the rulers, but you definitely can do that to align everything. I just prefer doing it this way. And you don't need a huge, super sharp line. If you're using a pink or a red shirt, the heat always causes this discoloration, but don't be alarmed, because as soon as it cools off, that discoloration goes away. So we are going to put the overreacting on first, and what I'm going to do is line my text up end to end and just pinch it a little bit at the bottom and the top, and I'm going to place this right on that line. So if I line up the bottom and the top creases that I created to this line, then I know that my design is aligned. So I usually go about 3 to 4 fingers from the top. This could go up a little bit higher, but not too much. Oh, you know what? We have to remember when creating this spacing that there is another word that goes up here first. So what I need to do is this, so that we make sure that that spacing is created from the top of that Y. So I'm just gonna a little bit more up, so we know right about there is where we need our word over, and then below that is reacting. And I'm actually going to press these separately. This way I'm not exactly where I want it to be. So first we're going to press this over, and I generally don't use a Teflon between my Caesar transfer sheets and my heat press, and that's just because I'm familiar with it and I've never had a problem with the transfer sheet melting. I just use it this way, but because I'm peeling this part off to put these on, I am going to use a Teflon sheet to press. So I'm just going to line this up where it should go, and then I'm also going to line this one up where it should go. And then now I'm going to use my Teflon sheet and press that for 20 seconds as well. And I'm giving it kind of medium pressure. And if you look, you can see that discoloration that I was mentioning. This holographic seems to be a cool peel, so I am going to let it cool off before I peel that back. Once that's cool, you can go ahead and pull back the transfer sheet. So now we just need this last piece. You want to pay attention to both sides, because you you want your alignment to be correct. This would definitely be easier with a larger machine where you could cut the entire or overreacting at one time, but it also works with the Cricut Joy. So we have it aligned, and we're going to press one more time for 20 seconds. And that's our shirt. I hope you had an amazing time with me today creating this fun and simple text-based design.